Hello, and welcome once again to Broadcast Mastery, the platform where we sharpen our skills, uphold professional standards, and strive for excellence in broadcasting. I'm Babs Daramola, and I'm delighted to have you with me. Now, in this episode, I'm responding to a particular request I received in my last post. One of my followers left an interesting comment. She appealed to me to educate broadcasters to stop referring to the numeral zero as the letter O. Now, in everyday broadcasting, the only time this issue really comes to the fore is when we are reading telephone numbers or clusters of numbers. So the question is, should a presenter say 080 or 080? Now, that question has for decades generated debate and controversy among Nigerian broadcasters, linguists, and even users of the English language alike. So, now let's put personal opinions aside and examine these from the standpoint of professional broadcast practice. Now, as someone who has spent about 4 decades in broadcasting, trained by some of Nigeria's finest broadcast professionals, and who continues to keep abreast of evolving global broadcast standards, I believe we're asking the wrong question. This is because the question is not whether you should say 080 or 080. To understand why, we need to understand where the practice came from in the first place. Now, in the early days of broadcasting in Nigeria, then Radio Nigeria was heavily influenced by British broadcasting traditions. Now, many of the pioneer broadcasters who trained succeeding generations were themselves trained under British broadcast practice. Now, one of those long established British conventions was the use of O when reading the digit zero in clusters of numbers. That is why expressions such as room 101, room 204, room 702, and even the famous fictional agent 007 or 007 gained almost universal acceptance. Even here in Nigeria, many of us grew up hearing vehicle models such as the Peugeot 404, 504, 406, and so on. University courses were commonly referred to as GNS 101, Physics 102, Pole 103, and so on. Now, over time, however, increased exposure to American English and other international influences made zero much more common, and that preference naturally found its way into Nigerian broadcasting. The truth is, language evolves, and broadcasting evolves with it. Now, just as some presenters would say schedule, others say schedule, some say route, others say route, some say privacy, others say privacy. The pronunciation of the digit zero has also evolved. Today, you'll hear both 080 and 080. Now, the growing influence of American English on Nigerian broadcasting also contributed to this shift. Now, as more broadcasters receive training outside the British tradition or drew inspiration from American broadcast practice, the pronunciation 080 became increasingly prevalent on Nigerian radio and television. So today, if you say 080, you're following a long established broadcasting tradition. If you choose to say 080, you're using a style that has become increasingly common in modern broadcasting. But you see, here is the thing. I find it rather strange and quite amusing when I see self-styled broadcast consultants taking absolute positions on this issue, declaring O to be wrong or zero to be wrong. Broadcast professionalism is not built on personal opinions. It is built on accepted practice, context, and consistency. In my view, Neither makes you a better broadcaster. What matters is consistency. Like you don't begin a phone number with 080 and suddenly you switch to 080. That inconsistency is far more distracting than the choice of pronunciation itself. Now, more importantly, every professional broadcast organization should have a clearly defined house style. If the station adopts O, every presenter should use O. If it adopts zero, every presenter should use zero. That is how professional brands are built. Do remember that broadcast mastery is not just about voice quality or diction. It is about discipline, consistency, and respect for professional standards. So, therefore, the issue is not O versus zero. The issue is consistency. And consistency is the signature of professionalism. The bottom line, therefore, is there is no hard and fast rule in broadcast practice that declares one pronunciation correct, the other incorrect. What there is, however, is a long tradition of broadcast conventions and the overriding principle of consistency. Well, it will be interesting to know where you stand on this. Are you Team O or Team Zero? Let's continue the debate in the comments. And don't stop there. If there's any broadcasting issue, pronunciation question, presentation challenge, or media topic you'd like me to clarify, send it in. Broadcast Mastery is as much your platform as it is mine, and your question could inspire our next discussion. Until next time, keep learning, keep improving, and remember consistency is the signature of professionalism. I'm Babs Daramola. Thanks for watching.